everybody. Welcome to the first official episode of Gold Rush from the JTR Podcast Network. YouTube exclusive show, not like our Jumping the Rail podcast, 01 Shootout. This one is all about the gold. This is just every episode's going to be focused on one different championship belt from could be pro wrestling, could be UFC, could be boxing, could be anything. But I think we got a good one to start off with. And helping me out today, you may know him from some appearances on the podcast. I got my buddy Jabari Sinclair. Bari, how are you, man?
Hey, how's it going, Reb?
Oh, it's good. Thanks for helping me out with this. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
No problem, right? It should be a good time.
Yep, because I know you and me we're both belt nerds. We both love the belts.
Definitely. Yeah. Uh,
So so we got like I said, we got a good one to start off with, and it kind of only makes sense that we start with this one. It's because it's really, I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, it's the greatest title belt that ever existed.
exactly. It is. It's beautiful and it has one hell of a story. And let's talk about it a little bit. How about that?
All right, yeah, and if you follow our Facebook and everything, you know which one we're talking about. There it is, right there. It,
Da-da-da-da.
thank you for the fanfare, Bari. It's the NWA slash WCW slash WCW International slash World Heavyweight Championship from started off in the 80s and went almost 20 years nonstop before WWE introduced their own version of it back in 2003. But man, just it's easy to get taken away. But look, the thing is beautiful, isn't it?
Exactly. It looks like a championship should look.
This
And the, go ahead.
I was gonna say it looks like almost regal. Looks like something a king would wear.
Exactly, yeah. The design and the jewels and the way everything is placed, yes, it looks very regal.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's here. You see, there's the main plate here, and you got the globe, you got the crown, you got. It looks like Charles Crumrye might have been watching some Japanese wrestling. The way these guys are, it's like somebody's getting dropped on their head here, but on both sides. And
Exactly.
they got the nameplate, you got the rubies, you got diamonds in the crown. I mean, it's easy to throw around the word perfect. I think this is the perfect championship belt. Am I wrong?
I'm going to agree with you. I mean, when like I said, when you think about a heavyweight championship belt, this is the one that comes to mind.
hmm And and I love the fact it just says World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. It doesn't say which company it's
Exactly.
for.
Yeah. That's my favorite part too. And I always
Yeah,
said, whenever I get one of these, and I'm going to get one of these eventually, it's going to look just like that. It's not going to have any company insignia on it.
yep. That's what I did here. This one, I showed it to you before we went on. This
Hmm.
is the good people at Fandu make this one.
Ah.
Fandu is such a great company, makes replica belts. And the light on my ring light is gleaming off of the face of this beauty. But it weighs a ton, and it's same deal. It doesn't have the WWE on there. It's just the logo. It's just the top of the belt is normal. And I'll put that back here so I don't drop it. But but yeah, and Fandu, if you can get a Fandu belt, do it because man, they do such good work. It's almost
They do great
pristine.
work, and they do great work, and they're always having some kind of sale too.
Oh yeah, because if you can get one, it says it's defect. Like get defects, they're minimal at best. You barely notice there's anything wrong with it, but they'll knock off 150 bucks off of it sometimes.
Exactly. So
Which
yes,
I'm just saying, I'm looking, keeping an eye out for an Andre 87 from Fandu,
yeah,
which
those are beautiful too.
yeah, that's one we'll get into. Uh,
Definitely.
yeah, have to talk about Warhorse a little bit on that one, but let's get back into the big gold here. Here's the if you haven't ever looked at the side plates, there you go. It's the same little wrestling figurine there in the middle, and then the flowery ornate design there. Like I said, it's just pretty.
It
Especially
really
kind of
is.
like a pumpkin. But yeah, so to get a little bit into the history of it here, Bar, because I did my research. I told you this is weird. On the podcast, we don't have to do research. It's just discussing what we see on TV and stuff we
Exactly.
remember. This one, I actually went and did my homework. I looked up some stuff about this belt, so I got some kind of interesting things here.
But
Uh,
hey, definitely lay some knowledge on us. That's what
all
we're
right.
here for.
So the guy that the NWA asked to get this made because they were getting a new belt made in 1985 is a guy named Nelson Royal. You remember him?
I've heard the name.
He was a wrestler in for Crockett. And this
Yeah.
is the guy. That's Nelson Royal there. So
Okay. Yeah.
he was old then. I think this picture's from the early 80s. But he's a farm boy. He always worked on the ranch. They did the promos for the Bunkhouse Stampede on his ranch.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that when the guy was sitting in the fire like whittling while he was talking about the Bunkhouse Stampede on one of the Starcades. I think
Yeah.
that
I
was him.
remember.
That was
Oh,
Nelson Royal.
okay. All right.
So he went to this guy Charles Crumrine, who's like he did the belt buckles for rodeos, like for the guys that win the rodeo, they get the belt buckle. So they commissioned him to do a new World Heavyweight Championship. And when you know with that knowledge and you look at the belt, you can tell it looks like a rodeo belt, kind of.
Right. Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. Let's see. They says they paid $12,000 to get it made, which I would have thought would be more.
Yeah.
Uh, they what I saw is if they had let Crumrine put the NWA logo on, it would have cost more. So they decided not to, which is I think just better in the long run.
Exactly. Because you get this design that we have today instead of something that
Yeah.
has a gaudy NWA logo stuck on it.
Like the Vegas belt. Remember that one?
Right. Yeah. Ooh.
Just
Ooh.
yeah, not good. Looked just like the big gold, but it said NWA in big blocky letters at the top. It was just looked cheesy.
Yeah.
Uh, so the weight about a little under 9 pounds, which holding this one in my hands, I would have thought it'd be more. Uh, and they always said it was like 25 pounds or because the dome globe is 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So you would think this would weigh more.
Yeah. At least double that.
So I actually think they fudged the weight on the dome globe also, but I got to get one to really make that assessment.
Right.
So here's something that I found out that I kind of questioned if it's valid or not. It's about the nameplate. It says that the NWA ordered 4 nameplates to be made for the belt. One obviously is Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Ron Garvin, and Sting.
Uh huh.
Now this is 1985, 86 when this is happening. I didn't think Sting was in the conversation for the world title then. I
Yeah,
thought,
that early, exactly. Yeah, because he didn't
yeah,
get his first shot until '88.
yeah, unless that was later on. They didn't say a time frame. Like I could see
Okay,
Flair
well,
and Dusty being right away, then Garvin, then because Garvin won it in '87, Sting won it in he started challenging in '88, so
right.
that might be spread out uh, among those years. So it's hard to say. Uh, I don't know if you remember this. Take a good look at the nameplate on this. They misspelled Ric Flair's name on the original
Yeah.
nameplate. Rick.
Rick. Yep.
So that might have had to burn old Rick a little bit when he saw that. But they
Oh yeah,
they
just a
they,
bit.
they sent it back. Crumrine fixed it and everything. Uh, let's see. This is something I remember reading in Flair's book. All world heavyweight champions were required to put a $25,000 deposit down when they held the belt. In case they tried to run off with it, then they were out $250,000 or 25 grand. And then
25
when
grand exactly.
then when they returned the belt after they dropped it, then they got their deposit back with
The
interest.
deposit back, yeah.
Now that's going to come up again a little bit later on because that has something to do with one of the developments here with this belt. Uh, the original belt, as I understand it, is currently owned by Conrad Thompson. The Podfather,
Yes.
Ric Flair's
Yes.
son-in-law.
Yes. He
There,
owns several ring worn belts, I believe.
he has an awesome collection of just memorabilia in general. To the point
Exactly.
I
He
want,
does.
and I've said this. He's almost my age. I want to be Conrad's friend. I think he's awesome. Just the whole he lives in Alabama, I live in Illinois thing. But
Right, exactly. This long distance is killing me.
uh, there were rumors going around back in the day that Scott Steiner had swapped the original belt out with one of the copies because I guess WCW made like 5 brass replicas of it during the Ready to Rumble shoot.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
and then they gave one to Steiner, Page, Nash, uh, I forget who else. So they had
Hogan took one home too.
maybe yeah Hogan, but so they all got one to keep at home in their trophy case. But there was a rumor going around for years that Steiner had swapped his out with the original belt, but
Oh wow.
that was debunked. That's actually not true.
Right.
But but that would have made for a good story though.
Yeah, it would
'Cause-
have, and you could definitely see Steiner doing something like that.
oh yeah,
It's
put
like
it in
who's going to
his
stop
display it in Shoney's.
him? Right up there next to the buffet.
That's right. Hey, not for nothing though. I went, and this is kind of off topic, but similar to that. I went about 10 years ago to Mongo's restaurant in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and he had his U.S. title in the display case in the
Oh,
restaurant, which was really
very
cool.
neat.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll discuss that more when we get to a U.S. title episode, which will happen because uh, I gotta say, for all their booking shortcomings, nobody did title belts better than the NWA, WCW back in the day.
This is very true. Very true.
All right. Well, I told you, Barry, I had some video we were going to get into a little bit, and what I want to do here, I want to show the first time this belt actually showed up on television. This is about a week after it debuted. It debuted on Valentine's Day of '86 at Battle of the Belts in Florida when Flair wrestled Wyndham. But then about a week later, it popped up on TBS. So here we're going to show that here.
Okay, we're back with you on World Championship Wrestling. And like promised, here he is, the heavyweight champion of the world, Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Tony Schiavone, how about a moment of silence for the best-looking man on the face of this earth? You know, when I tell my pals, Rick and Keith Michaels, that I want to be styling and profiling on Jim Crockett's television show because Ted Turner is sitting upstairs in his office and wants a real dude out here on the big camera, then Michaels of Kansas City puts it together. So bring the camera in one time. You like it? From the lizard shoes, huh? About $700 to the Rolex watch to the biggest diamonds my finger can hold. You are looking at pure class. But wait just one moment. You see, when your name is Ric Flair and you represent the National Wrestling Alliance and you just happen to work for Jim Crockett Promotions, then every once in a while, come on over here, David, the Crockett's dig down in their pockets to show some appreciation for what a real champion should be toting around. And you see, the whole country has heard about it. Now they're going to have a chance to see it. And I'm talking about $40,000 of 24-karat gold, silver, diamonds, and rubies with my name written on the front of it. That's right. Solid gold. The World Heavyweight Championship belt. Worn, owned, operated, and manipulated by yours truly. The World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, I'm custom made. Whether you like it or not, I'm your world champion. And you know, you hear so much now around the world about everybody wanting to be the world champion that I just like to take a time out of my schedule to come out here periodically and show you all what the world champion's all about. Ronnie Garvin, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Bob Armstrong, Tommy Rich, Wahoo McDaniels, doesn't make any difference. To be the man, Daddy, you gotta beat the man. And whether you like it or not, you know, the only difference between me and the guy in the red cape is I don't need a phone booth to bring my action in. You understand what I'm telling you? I'm the best there is. Woo! I'm the world heavyweight wrestling champion. Woo! Woo!
He certainly is.
Let's see you bring somebody out here to follow that stuff, brother. Woo!
Let's go to the ring.
Nobody better.
No, no. You hear the term "live the gimmick" a lot for some people. Nobody lived his gimmick better than the Nature Boy did,
Oh, absolutely.
and you tell he fudged a few of the numbers. It wasn't $40,000.
No.
Makes it
But I
sound
mean,
good.
you had to make it sound good.
That's
Exactly.
right. That's right. Uh, as I understand, all the diamonds and rubies were CZs. Uh, no big deal. It still looked awesome.
Right.
Uh,
Some nice high end costume jewelry, but it doesn't matter.
right. And the important thing is it looked good. The fans bought it when he said it was a $40,000 belt back then,
Exactly.
and that's before there wasn't a hobby of collecting belts back then. So that was
Oh
the only
no.
one that they had.
Yeah.
If you got a replica, it was something like, well, here's a small facsimile of it. This is a vintage $1 million belt replica that I found in a used toy store in Danville about
Oh,
7 years
nice.
ago. But the best part is I found it. It was like literally in a bin, and it was like out of package and everything. So it was like $10. But what whoever it is didn't realize. Take a good look there. See that? That motherfucker's autographed.
Yeah, it's autographed.
Yeah, it's got an authentic Ted DiBiase autograph. I checked. It is an authentic Ted DiBiase autograph.
Nice. Hell of a
So
steal there, brother.
I know, right? I'm proud of myself for that one. Shout out to Vintage Villains. It's no longer open in Danville, but they had some really cool stuff back then. They had like
Wow. Yeah.
they had like the LJN figures. They had Nintendos. I had all kinds of cool stuff there. But
Right.
I could keep going on. Back into the belt a little bit in the history of it. As you saw, the first champion was Flair, debuted in February of '86. The last champion was Triple H because the belt actually, when the invasion happened in '01, they obviously used that belt, and
Hmm.
that belt stayed until they retired it when they got the undisputed belt, the V1 in '02. But then in
Right.
But then in September, when they brought the World Heavyweight Championship back, that was the belt they used originally. And then until March, I think, of '03 is when they brought out the WWE version that had the logo on it. And then they retired this one for good. And I said, after years and years, I guess Conrad has it. But yeah, so it went about 27 years almost uninterrupted being
Yeah, that's
defended.
that's a hell of a lineage for a belt.
Yeah, and we can get into the lineage a little bit. So let me see. So first off, obviously, you got Flair. Then I had a picture loaded up for Dusty. I'll get that one here. But in '87, got the man with the hands of stone there, Ron Garvin. And we'll get into him in a second. There's something I forgot to mention after we saw that video. Which one did you prefer, Barry? The brown strap or the black strap?
The brown strap feels like it's vintage, like this is the real deal right here.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. Is the brown strap. So yeah, I'll definitely go with brown.
Yeah, I'm with you. It looked almost classier with the brown strap.
Probably was hell to keep clean, but it definitely
Oh,
looked better.
I'm sure. But there was there we go. Getting off the tangent because the belt that I have and the belt that everybody really remembers from WCW was the one with the black strap.
Right.
And but yeah, the brown, it really made it look like it was a belt from the rodeo because
Yeah.
Cowboys, they had brown belts, they didn't have the black ones. But let me get this picture up here real quick. Anybody that watches the podcast knows that sometimes I have issues.
That damn slow computer, it happens.
Yeah, there we go. And just a second. There we go. So there's Dusty with the after the Great American Bash in '86.
Looks good on him.
Yeah, he only had it for a cup of coffee before
Yeah.
Flair got it back.
Exactly.
I wish he would have gotten a longer run. I loved Dusty when I was a kid. I mean, Flair's awesome, but when you're a kid, Dusty Rhodes is the guy. If you're watching
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to Garvin here, because Dusty dropped it back to Flair in the summer of '86. Flair held it until September of '87, which is when this guy, Ron Garvin, won the belt. And there's a lot of Menders is heckling me in the comments. There's a lot of talk about why Garvin got the belt, Barry. I don't know how much of this you've heard. The story goes, as I understand it, that they wanted a title change to happen in Starrcade in Chicago in November, and they wanted Flair to win the belt because it would make for a rating to have. Because Flair's their top guy, they want him to win the championship on pay-per-view. So with that knowledge, they went to, as this is all just speculation from what I've read. They went to all the baby faces in the locker room. They went to Sting, Wyndham, Dusty. Well, Dusty was probably doing the asking, but nobody wanted to hold the title for 6 weeks as a transitional champion. The only guy that agreed to do it was Garvin. So that's why they put the belt on him in Detroit in September of '87.
And you know what? That sounds believable enough to roll with. So we'll roll
Right,
with it.
right. And also, not for nothing, Garvin is the first guy I remember holding that belt. When I got my first PWI when I was 6 years old, he was in the centerfold with that title. And then not long after that, then we started getting NWA shows on TV, on like regular TV. Right before Wrestling Challenge, they showed the NWA on there.
Oh,
So we watched
sweet.
it a little bit. Yeah, and it didn't last very long. It was maybe 6-8 months. But yeah, so Garvin was the first guy I remember holding this title. Goes back to Flair, obviously. He has another year-long run with it. Then you get this guy.
Steamboat. That's who I remember holding the title.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Like you said, PWI magazine. There was a spread of him in there. I believe he had on his white karate suit, and he had Ricky and he had Bonnie with him. And I was like, man, wow.
Yep.
I remember this guy from WWF, and they didn't do him right, but now he's the man here.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that at like 5 years old.
Right, right. He had the IC run, which we'll get into when we do an episode on that belt, but it ended prematurely. And then he just never got out of the blocks again after that.
Exactly.
And then he went to be a family man. Then I guess Jim Crockett had the right number and wrote him the big check, and he came out, and they had that just masterpiece of a trilogy, him and Flair, in '89.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and I didn't see all the matches when they first happened. It wasn't until many years later because I didn't have cable, so I didn't have TBS and we didn't get pay-per-views, and they never
Same here.
They never released any of the shows on video on VHS around here. So I was all just going off of what I had read, and everybody's talked about how great these matches were. About the time that we got the Ric Flair Ultimate Collection DVD, remember that from about '03?
Oh, I got it over there somewhere.
Yeah, but they had two of the matches on. They had the Clash of the Champions 2 out of 3 falls, and they had the Wrestle War match from Memphis.
Wrestle War, yeah, I got Wrestle War written down. Yeah.
So they had those two. It didn't have the Chi-Town Rumble match where Steamboat won the belt. That didn't come to on another DVD later. But good Lord, I mean, the matches those two guys had with each other. And
can you? I mean, their cardio alone, like watching it, I'm blown up.
Oh, I know. Especially that 2 out of 3 falls match, which is to this day is my favorite wrestling match ever. Is that 2 out of 3 falls at the Clash of the Champions?
It's definitely a top 10 on my list as well.
A lot of people say the Wrestle War match is the best one they had. I still say it was the Clash match, just because it did such a good job of building to the rematch. Because that was match number 2. Steamboat won both, so theoretically Flair shouldn't have got another shot at it because he lost twice. But Flair's foot was under the rope, though. Does this sound familiar, Barry, from last weekend? And so they wound up giving Flair his rematch, and then he got it in Nashville. But yeah, Steamboat had a heck of a run, and not a long run. You think it was longer than it was. It was only about 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But man, he looked good holding the belt, though. Look at that.
Yes, he did, but he had to go home because Bonnie said so.
Yep. And did you know Ric Flair introduced him to Bonnie?
Really?
Yeah, she was one of his ladies in one of his old promos back in the late '70s.
Wow!
And then he introduced her to Rick. Also, not to be, and I keep bringing this belt up because I mean, how can I not? This thing's so pretty.
Yeah.
But I showed it to you earlier. Right there, Ricky the Dragon.
Right there. Look at that.
Last April at the Squared Circle Expo, he signed that, Barry. And and there's also a Scott Steiner signature on there also. But eventually I will get more. Our buddy Mike Nargelinas, Barry, has several signatures on his belt. The only difference is his is the WWE version. It's got the logo on it. I'm a little more of a stickler than Narge is, but he's got like Muta and Hogan and Sting, or not Sting, but Flair. He's got all the big ones on his belt, so I'm a little behind. All right, so back to focus here. Steamboat loses it back to Flair. Again, about another 6 or about a year. Has the feud with Funk, goes on. Then Sting joins and is kicked out of the Horsemen.
I remember all that. Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah. And then there you see it. Stinger got his at the Great American Bash in '90 after he came back from his knee injury.
Yep.
And that was a hell of a match, too.
Yes, it was.
If you remember. A little overbooked with the outside shenanigans. El Gigante handcuffed to Ole in the aisle, and the Horsemen and the JYD and the Steiners all at ringside. It was
but I think you got JYD running around not knowing what the hell's going on, but
Orndorff was out there.
It was a little bit. They had a lot going on that night.
But yeah, it's actually I don't know which match I like better, Barry, this one or the match at the first clash between the two of them that went to the draw.
I don't know. That first one was, and there again, I had to go back and watch it. I didn't watch it live, but going back and watching it, like, man, Sting's been on fire since he started. Like, wow, somebody with such charisma, and and it's 30-something years later, and he still got it.
Yeah. Not all of it, but he's still
not all of it exactly.
I can't criticize. He's still in better shape than I am.
Right, exactly. Same here.
All right, so let's see. Sting loses it. Like, there's a common denominator. They all lose it back to Flair at some point.
Back to Flair, yeah.
And then here's where the controversy comes in, Barry, because in Japan, I think it's at the Super Show in 91, I want to say. And I talked about this on the Jumping the Rail podcast with Bill Alfonso like a year and a half ago, because he was one of the referees. He winds up dropping the belt to Fujinami.
Yeah.
And it was a contested finish. I guess both referees had different outlooks. I haven't seen the match. I can't find the match, to be honest with you. So they wind up doing the rematch in the States. Flair gets it back, pattern. And then here's where it gets interesting, because Flair is in a bit of a pissing contest with Jim Herd. I think that's a nice way to put it.
That's probably the most appropriate way to put it.
Yeah. So eventually it gets to the point where Herd wants Flair to drop the belt. Flair, we talked about the $25,000 deposit. He never got his deposit back. They just kept rolling it over because he was always getting the belt back, basically. So he wanted his money with interest if he was going to drop the belt. Herd told him to F off. So, and eventually got to the point where Flair said he would drop the belt to Wyndham because he thought he deserved it. And who can argue?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then after that, Herd told him to just shove it, and then just told him to keep the belt. And then we have another clip, but then that's when this happens here, Barry. So.
How about this? What is that? This happens to be the real championship belt.
That's not Hogan's belt, Brain. I know the champ's belt when I see it.
You're right. Comparing this belt to Hulk Hogan's belt would be like comparing ice cream to horse manure. Comparing the men that wear these belts would also be like comparing ice cream to horse manure. You see, the man that owns this belt is right now under contract to another organization. But in the very near future, he might be coming to the World Wrestling Federation. The man is also a very long, dear, personal friend of mine.
Does the guy have a name?
Yes, he has a name. This man not only has challenged Hogan on numerous occasions, unanswered, may I add, but you want to compare him, fine. Then let's compare Hulk Hogan to Ric Flair.
I love everything about that video, except for Gorilla's hat. I don't know why Gorilla had a hat on.
Who knows? Maybe he lost a bet.
Maybe. I love the fact that Gorilla's trying to toe the Vince line. It's like, that's not Hogan's belt. Like, let's say Hogan is the only one that has a world championship. But
Yeah,
here
yeah,
comes,
because he's lost in WWF land and no other land exists.
right? But but I love just the ending of that too when Heenan finally drops Flair's name, and then you see the reaction. I don't know why Neidhart was there, but
Same here.
I mean, not like Neidhart, but yeah, I'm not looking for him to be a great commentator.
No, you're not. You're looking
That's-
You're looking for him to get in there and do a few goofy things and laugh and
Right,
go home.
stroke his beard. But
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe they wanted him there to have somebody for Gorilla to react to when they dropped the bombshell.
Well, yeah,
But I
it's
don't
very
know.
well possible.
Yeah. So Flair holds that belt in WWF for a few months before finally the NWA sues Vince, and I think it was just a cease and desist involved. So then they send the belt back, and then they start doing the thing where they digitize the belt.
The
But
whole distorted footage, yeah,
Right.
and it was like,
tag
oh,
team
this
belt.
is the tag team belt, which
Right.
was going to be the real world's heavyweight
Championship.
championship, I
Yeah.
guess, or whatever.
Which
Because it
I
didn't
want
say
to find.
tag team, but
That's where on my list is because they showed. I saw a picture of that tag belt. They took tag team off of it, and they put like
Yeah.
3 diamonds. And I want to find a copy of that belt to keep in my
exactly,
collection. 'Cause
that'd be
really
awesome
cool.
to have.
Yeah, because I think it also had the black font on the world on that too.
Yeah,
Which is so. But again, we'll be doing a tag title episode very soon. So getting back to it here. So WWF sends the belt back to the NWA, who then decide to put it on one of my favorites, Masahiro Chono.
Yeah.
So he's defending the belt all over New Japan. I think he won it in the G1 Climax when it was vacant.
Okay.
Because they had a bunch of WCW guys. Because I found that tournament on YouTube several years ago, and with all the Japanese guys, it had Double A, it had Austin, Rude, all kinds of WCW guys in there.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, all through Facebook and Twitter and stuff.
Yeah. And the finals of the tournament, I think, if I remember right, was Chono and Rude for the title.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Which deep down, I wish Rude would have won it, given that really good world title run. But I guess they wanted it to be defended all over Japan, so they put it on Chono, and then eventually he dropped it to Muta.
To Muta, yeah. Now this is what I remember right here when Muta was champion. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got that on his resume in late '90. I think he might have won it. Well, it wasn't called Wrestle Kingdom, but the January 4th Tokyo Dome show, I think, is where he won that belt.
I think so. Yeah. I know they had fought a month previous at the Starrcade.
Starrcade, yeah.
Chono, yeah.
And Chono retained, yeah.
Yeah.
But so Wyndham holds it for not very long because the Super Brawl '93.
Super Brawl 3 till Beach Blast. So what? About 3-4 months.
Yeah. So he drops the belt at Super Brawl to Wyndham, which overdue, if you ask me. Wyndham could have been world champion 5 years
Way
earlier.
overdue. Exactly.
And he held it for 3 or 4 months, I want to say.
Yeah, he held it to July.
Yeah, because of Beach Blast. And dropped it again back to Flair.
Back to Flair. And that's the reason why
Flair
he
came
lost
back.
it. Because Flair came back. That's why he lost it. Otherwise, I think he would have had a longer run. Maybe it would have been Rude and Wyndham.
Maybe Wyndham turns babyface, yeah. Because Wyndham's working heel here.
Yeah, he was.
Because he's siding with the Hollywood Blondes during their feud with Flair and Double A.
Yep.
And Roma, but
Roma. I digress.
But yeah, you could easily flip Barry babyface and had him drop the belt to Rude if they wanted to do that if Flair wasn't there. But Rude does get his belt because he beat Flair for the what was at this point called the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship.
Exactly.
Because the NWA and WCW had split.
And, AKA my big gold belt.
Right, because they had their belt that looked a lot like the Winged Eagle that they were using at the time for the world title.
Vader's belt. Yeah, Vader's belt.
The Vader belt. That's how I like to look at it, the Vader belt. And but they still had the big gold. They had to do something with it. So hey, let's make an international world heavyweight championship here. You put it on Rude.
You put it on Rude, and damn, it looked good on Rude too.
Man, if anybody looks like a world champion that's not named Flair, it's Rick Rude.
Yes, sir.
The tights are killing me in this picture too. Flair with a black eye and then Fifi on the other leg. That's his current wife, as I understand it too.
Yeah, they're married.
Yep, shout out to Wendy. Yeah, so Rude holds it for a bit and then drops it to I think he dropped it to Sting in Japan. I think that's the night that Rude got hurt.
Yeah, the night he got hurt. Yeah.
So wait, no, I'm mistaken. That is the night he got hurt, but he didn't drop it to Sting that night. I think he
because it was ended up being the finish was in controversy.
Right, and then at Slamboree, they announced that Rude vacated because he had to retire. And then they wanted to award it to Sting, but Sting insisted on wrestling Vader for it.
Which was a hell of a match.
And that's when Sting won the belt. And then he held it until, I think it was one of the clashes when he and Flair unified the titles.
I want to say it was June of '94. Because Hogan had just signed.
Yeah, that was during the build-up to Flair and Hogan.
Yeah.
But they unified those two titles, and then they started using the big gold going forward as the official world title again, which is the right call.
Exactly.
I mean, I like that WCW title that they had, but I mean, come on. It's, to paraphrase Bobby, it's like comparing ice cream to horse manure.
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna carry this one, or you're gonna carry this one right here. Yeah, let's put that in the office, and maybe we'll do something with it at another time. But right now, we got big gold back.
Yeah, and we will do an episode on that WCW title eventually, because there's some big moments. I mean, Ron Simmons, Vader, Sting.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of stuff to talk about there.
Exactly, the Vader.
Yes. Oh, Vader. All right, so Flair unifies the titles, and then, of course, here comes Hogan. First match, and I could go on about my issues. I'm not a Hogan fan, Bari.
Same here. Well, nobody's a Hogan fan that we know and are close to. So
no. I mean, I get it. He was a big draw. He was a big deal, but I mean,
it was so watered down. And I was a kid. I was 10, 11 years old. And I'm like, this is so watered down from what WCW used to be. Like, this is Hogan and his friends.
It became WWF light.
Yeah,
literally.
Exactly.
And Hogan brings in his buddies to job to him, like Tenta and Kamala, all the big guys to come and Beefcake. Because he had to bring Beefcake with him.
Well, yeah, that's his brother. So everywhere Hogan goes, Beefcake ain't far behind.
Yep. Gotta have your yes man. So Hogan holds the belt for over a year. That's close to a year and a half. Then there's the whole Yeti match with the Giant.
Yeah.
The less said about that, the better. The belt gets stripped because the Giant didn't win, but he claimed victory and walked off with the belt. And I guess Hogan got disqualified. The story that I heard is that in the angle, Jimmy Hart had put a disqualification stipulation in the contract.
Yeah.
We got DQ'd.
We just watched that episode of Nitro not too long ago, and that was supposedly in a contract that if he got DQ'd, then he would lose the belt.
But I think they nullified the contract in the championship committee or something, so they vacated the belt until World War III, which is the most overbooked fiasco of a battle royal ever conceived. Let's get everybody we have either under contract or just showing up on Saturday nights and put them in a 60-man battle royal.
Exactly right. You see where Dave got his idea for the War Rumble from, right?
Yeah. Sort of, but this one it ended over the top. It wasn't one of the last two guys are in a one fall match or anything. But, so the first World War III is in November of '95. There you see, Macho Man gets his first WCW World Title.
I remember watching this with my brother's dad, and I remember popping for this. I was like, "Yeah, Randy Savage won." By the time he got his justice, it's like, So excited about it, and then fucking Hogan gets in the ring and just
tries to steal his thunder. He always does it. He did it at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He did it at World War III. And I'm surprised Savage never just popped him one. When
he should have right in the mouth. Say, right, do you think it's somebody now? But
yeah, Hogan. I see a lot of similarities between Hogan then and Jericho now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Between the creative control, he's always trying to be around where the hot angles are. You know, something we can go into that on more podcasts later on, not on the show.
Just like can't pass that torch.
That's right. He has that torch kept in a very cozy place. But so Savage holds the belt till Starrcade. They do that triangle match between Flair, Sting, and Luger, and the winner gets Savage. And Flair winds up winning the belt. Then he trades with Savage back and forth in early '96. They do the cage match where Elizabeth turns on Savage and joins Flair.
Yeah, Super Brawl.
Remember that? Yeah.
Super Brawl, yeah.
Yep. So, and then eventually Flair legitimately this time drops the title to the Giant. And I remember this. I remember this match because it was on one of those early Nitros when they had to go on at like 5 o'clock because of the playoffs.
Yeah, because of the NBA playoffs, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, aren't we freaking old?
Yeah. But yeah, that was the main event of one of those like 5 o'clock p.m. Nitros. So I was thrilled. I was able to watch the whole show before my dad got home because he hates wrestling and he wouldn't have stood for it. So we got to see it. So Giant holds it. He has a nice little run, a few months.
Yeah, God, he went from what, April to August?
4 months to August, yeah, because at Hog Wild in the Sturgis, South Dakota, we get that.
God.
NWO Hogan. Now, I want to get your take on this, Barry, because I know my opinion. How did you feel about spray painting the belt?
And that was the original belt because you can see the bend in it.
Yeah, that's the original belt.
I wasn't okay with it. So I'm like, you're gonna tarnish the finish eventually, and it's gonna look like shit, and that's what it looks like now.
Menders, shame on you.
Well, Menders, everybody can't be as lucky as you are, my dear.
That's true. But yeah, number one, I'm an old fuddy-duddy, Barry. I'm old school. I don't like defacing the belts when people hold them.
That's desecration of the championship.
Yeah, Trey Miguel did it in just now in Impact with the X Division title. He tagged it, and I didn't like it there either. But I get it that the spray paint is the gimmick for the NWO. But I mean, come on, that belt is sacred as a thrown around word, and I'm not religious, but that is almost holy property there, you know.
A holy grail, if you will.
Yeah, and friggin' Hogan, he puts a spray.
Here he is, Brian, putting his nuts all over the belt just because he can.
Because Bischoff ain't gonna stop him.
No. So yeah, I was not cool with that at all. And even now, when I see replicas of it done, I'm like, why would you get that? That's so ugly.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. If you think I'm gonna spray paint this belt just to have an NWO replica, you got another thing coming, my friend. Because
exactly,
it's like we said at the top of the show. If there is a perfect championship belt, this is it.
Right there, sitting beside you.
That's right.
And the one behind me is a close second, but we'll get into that later.
That's right. So Hogan holds it from almost a whole year. He drops it the week before Road Wild the next year to Luger.
Yeah, that's right, on that Nitro. Yeah, after Luger had quote unquote racked the world.
Right, I remember that. That was a great build to that match.
It was.
I mean, I'm not a big Luger fan, but I mean, he was really the MVP of WCW during that whole NWO angle.
Yeah, he actually gave a damn.
He actually wrestled the match. Sting popped up, but Luger was the one putting in the work in that angle. And then I remember watching. That was the first 3-hour Nitro in Detroit in August of '97.
Yeah,
they built it up so well because they started the show off with JJ coming out. JJ was part of the executive committee back then. And he said Hogan hadn't defended the belt in 30 days. And the 30 days was going to expire before the pay-per-view. So he made a match with him and Luger. And I wasn't expecting Luger to win the belt. I'll be honest, I was 15. I was still very naive. I thought it was great when he did. It made for a great rating. The crowd was blew the roof off of the building there. I think it was in the Palace in Auburn Hills.
Yeah.
The Pistons played.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Best part of the match, I'll see if you agree with me, Randy Anderson, when Hogan submitted. And he's just like, first of all, he's stunned. He's looking at him. Then he turns around and just
Yeah,
doing the fingers. I thought that is how a referee. Man. That is how a referee should put over a championship title change. Exactly. Because nobody was beating Hogan back then. It was unheard of, and to have him do it on TV of all things was crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of course, as we know, the week later at the pay-per-view, he won it back.
Right. Well, Hogan thought he was a big draw with the bikers and wanted to again rub his nuts on the belt. So
I think that was more Bischoff than Hogan, to be honest with you. I think Bischoff wanted to run the show in Sturgis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But the thing is, it was kind of weird having Luger win the belt there, and then because everybody knew that belt was going to Sting eventually. So it kind of made you wonder, when is Sting coming back? And then after Hogan won the belt back from Luger and Sturgis, that's when we find out Sting's going to get the shot at Starrcade.
Yeah, Starrcade, yeah. That whole debacle.
One of the worst matches I've ever seen.
God. And I hate to say that because I love Sting. I am such a huge Sting fan, but that match was the drizzling shit.
Oh, there's so many stories. If you ever listen to Bischoff's podcast, he goes into it, and I swear he and Conrad almost get into a fist fight over telephone, like remotely. Apparently, the idea was for Nick Patrick to fast count Sting, so Bret Hart had a reason to come in as a special referee and restart.
Exactly. Yeah.
The story goes that Hogan kind of caught up with Patrick and said, "Hey, why don't you just count regular?" Because there wasn't a fast count in that match.
No,
you've seen it.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all.
It was the same cadence he had the entire match. And you could hear the crowd when he hit. You just hear a bunch of people. What? It's like, what the hell? It's kind of like when Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania this year.
Exactly. Yeah. That Starrcade was poorly booked.
The whole show was the shits. I mean, I love Starrcade, but I think that might be the worst Starrcade ever. Which is really saying something.
Right. Exactly. Because we hadn't even hit Russo era yet.
No, not yet. So here we see it. They're Sting with the belt because, as you know, he won the belt at Starrcade. Then the week later, they had to vacate it again because of the wonky officiating in the finish. So they just had thrown the match out and vacated the belt. They had to do a rematch at Super Brawl where Sting finally beats Hogan. So now he's officially the champion. There it is. He's got the belt, no pain on it. Just in all of its glory there with the black strap and everything.
Yep.
Not a great title run for Sting. He held it for 4 months, maybe? Spring Stampede, I think, is when he lost the title, right?
Let's see. February, March, 2 months. Spring Stampede was in April.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's 2 months.
Because I can't remember if he lost it at Spring Stampede or Slamboree.
It was Spring Stampede because Slamboree is where Savage and Hart had their match, and Hart injured Savage.
Oh, okay, I got you. So we mentioned there it is. Macho's that. It's surprising. Macho was the guy that beat Sting, not Hogan this time.
Exactly.
And that's when
they had the whole power struggle for the NWO going on, which overshadowed Sting's title run.
And Nash helps Savage win.
Yep.
And then Savage doesn't get his moment because the rest of the NWO comes in and just beats the crap out of both of them. And again, more Hogan stealing Savage's thunder, But
because he loses the belt 24 hours later.
That's 2 times Savage did that for Hogan. He dropped the belt the day after he won it.
Yeah.
What a bunch of crap, because Hogan couldn't lace Savage's. I'm just saying, he couldn't lace Savage's boots if he didn't want to.
Exactly.
But, I mean, it's crazy. So Hogan gets the belt back, and he doesn't hold it for maybe 2 months, if that. Because July 6th is when we get this. Goldberg.
Big moment. It was a huge moment.
Oh, huge. Georgia Dome, the crowd was hot. And he was the guy.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
I still
no
wish
doubt.
he hadn't beat. I still wish he hadn't taken the U.S. title off Raven beforehand.
Right, yeah,
He
because
didn't
that
need
was
it.
pointless. But
Yeah,
whatever. But can you
right, right.
imagine how much more money they could have made had they put that on pay-per-view and let that build up for a few weeks? Wow.
Oh, I know. Instead, they just said like on Thunder the week before, they said, "Oh, Goldberg's going to challenge Hogan at the Georgia Dome."
Yep. I remember it was JJ, and Tony Schiavone.
Yep,
Yep.
I remember because Shivani went forward. It's Sting, but with Goldberg or something,
Hmm.
whatever the hell Tony does. And I like Tony, but come on, and of course this is during Goldberg's streak where he's not losing to anybody until Starrcade. Uh, a slightly better Starrcade '98 than '97.
Yeah, it was.
There was some good stuff on there. The LWO was in full effect, as we know, Eddie and Hoovy and Ray and all that. But the big story here is right there. Big
Big
Kev gets his
sexy.
title. Little help from Scott Hall and a stun gun.
Yeah.
I was actually okay with Nash being the one to beat Goldberg because I don't think there was anybody else to do it.
Well, there was no one else that was believable enough at the time.
Yeah, that Goldberg hadn't already run through because he'd already beaten Sting.
Yeah.
And
He had B Sting. He had B Page. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no
Nash,
one else.
Right. And yeah, it's maybe the way they
He
did
had
it.
beat Luger at the at a Road Wild in that Battle Royal match. So yeah,
He won the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
He won the Battle Royal with everybody. Like it was Goldberg versus both NWOs. It was kind of a ridiculous situation.
Exactly.
I think that's where he jackhammered the Giant too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was damn impressive, to be honest with you.
I'm telling you.
So Nash wins the belt. Then we get the finger poke of doom, Bari.
And it was such great build up the entire night. It was such good build up, Mark, all night. And then they throw this bullshit on us. I was like, what the? I remember sitting around with my buddies. We sat around and we watched this together. And everybody was like, what the hell just happened? And we just did what? A finger poke?
Yeah.
They're playing with us.
Yeah, and this was the same night, Bari, that on the other show, Mick Foley beat The
Mick
Rock.
Foley.
The WWE.
Exactly.
Once that 3 count happened, I think millions of televisions around the country just immediately switched over because Shivani had already stooged off the finish to Raw, the whole butts and seats thing.
We literally had We literally had 2 televisions in my living room, and the small TV went off, and we all started watching Raw.
So we'll give you this horseshit finish here. I'll go watch the finish we told you was going to happen that you guys want to see, which is Foley winning the title.
Exactly.
Man, and honestly, it was really hard for me to get back into WCW after that finger poke match.
Same here, because you knew it was just Hogan and his buddies.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember Uncensored '99, Bari?
Bits and pieces I remember of.
Okay, this is the night that Flair beat Hogan to win the title.
In the cage, wasn't it?
It was a first blood match in the cage.
Okay, yeah.
Both guys were bleeding, and the referee didn't stop it. It was Charles Robinson, for what it's worth, Little Nate, But it was just kind of a ridiculously booked match. Flair got the win, and this is when he was the president of WCW because he'd beaten Bischoff.
Right, yeah, and that's what actually I have April 26th playing on my TV right now of that time frame. So
okay, I need to have a little monitor behind me here where I can show. I just have a show in the background. So Flair gets it. I think that's his last world title. That was his 14th in WCW, right?
I thought maybe he had one more during the Russo era, but I could be mistaken.
I don't think he did, but
okay.
Either way, it was like his last hurrah really is a single.
It was.
Yeah. And then fast forward to, let's see, this might have been Slamboree '99 when Page won his first.
Yeah, it was. They Hogan went out with a quote unquote knee injury. No, that was because he
got stretchered out.
Yeah,
he did the stretcher job. Savage was the referee.
Yeah.
Which was a whole other wrinkle, because they had their feud in '97, and then Savage is the referee giving him the belt, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, it
So
was.
so Page has his run, and you talked about you were watching when he and Sting did the double swap on Nitro
Yeah,
during this time.
yeah. That's one of my top matches, as a matter of fact.
Yep, yep. So they have their run with the belt. Then it goes to Savage. Again, night after Savage wins the belt, drops it back to Hogan. Hogan goes back to the red and yellow babyface
No,
Hogan.
wait. Let's stop.
Hang
In
on, hang on.
between Page and Savage was a Nash run.
There was a Nash run, yes.
Nash won it from Page at Great American Bash,
Okay.
I think.
No, because Savage wanted a bash.
No, Savage won it at Bash at the Beach. It was a tag team match. It was
Okay.
Savage Sid versus Sting.
Against Nash and Sting.
And
Gorgeous George nut shot at him.
Yeah, and whoever pinned the champion would be champion. It didn't matter who it was. Yeah.
Okay, you got me.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm glad you're here, Barry, because you can clean up this mess sometimes. All right, so going from there, Nash has his short run, drops it to Savage. Savage holds it for a night, drops it back to Hogan. Hogan gets his run with Nash going through Road Wild and all that. Retires Nash, finger quotes.
Yeah, and goes back to red and yellow.
Yeah,
like you said.
Red and yellow. Fall Brawl, he wrestles Sting. Sting had turned heel at this point. A very ill-conceived heel turn. Nobody really was behind it. It was kind of like when the Road Warriors turned in '88.
Exactly, yeah.
But they did like a laydown. They did a laydown job at Fall Brawl. Hogan just laid down for Sting. I
what was the story behind that?
I don't know. I can't figure it out. Maybe Hogan was pissed he was losing the belt and just said, "Fuck it, I'll just lay down and walk away." Right. There seems to be a pattern with that with Hogan on the other end, which we'll get to. So Sting has the belt, and he winds up vacating it because I guess he decided to be a babyface again after that, like that night during the show.
What happened was, remember, Goldberg and Sid were feuding, and they had their first blood match. They got stopped early, and and Sting was like he wanted to wrestle somebody, and Goldberg came out at the end, and Goldberg pinned him. Won. Yeah, and he left with the belt.
But I think it wound up getting vacated, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and that's what happened, and that's how Bret Hart became champion. Yep.
Right there. Look at that. I could go on for hours about how Bret's run was totally misused in WCW.
It was bad.
Just from Jump Street. From the moment he got there, they did not know what to do with him. And that's, as I understand, that's what Vince told Bret when he said he was going to WCW. They won't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
And he was right.
And they didn't. They did not.
You can say whatever you want about Vince McMahon. He is a genius. He is a smart motherfucker.
Yes, he is.
Whether he's diddling PA paralegals or messing up bookings or anything. But as a promoter, he's a genius.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's talking about. Yeah.
As a booker, not so much.
No.
So anyway, so Bret wins. Has the match at Starrcade with Goldberg where he gets kicked in the head. I've watched that back. It's not good. It's bad.
No. Yeah.
And so the belt gets vacated. Sid Vicious and Benoit, it's sold out, and that's where Benoit wins the world title. Immediately goes to WWF.
Yeah, what is the next night he was in the right? Next night, wasn't it?
As I understand it, they told him he was getting the belt. He said, "I don't want it," because he was on his way out. But they put it on him anyway. And then he just left, and he was going regardless. So they just put it on Sid the next night on Nitro, I think.
He beat the Harris Boys.
He beat Nash.
Okay.
It was like a gauntlet. Like he had to beat the Harris Boys, and he had to get to Nash, and then he beat Nash.
Okay, yeah, because he made Nash freaking tap out to the crossface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there you see it. Look at that pun there. God. Look at that face.
Psycho. No pun intended.
No pun intended. You know what? I like Sid.
Me too.
He was fun to watch. Still don't know why he jumped off the top rope to do a big boot.
Neither do I.
You know what? I know why, bro.
Yeah.
But I digress. So Sid holds it for a while. He winds up getting vacated because of the New Blood angle when they stripped all titles and did the reset.
Right. The Great Reset.
Yeah, which theoretically is a good idea, but they, as most things in WCW in 2000, they misdid it.
Yeah, and by that time,
I don't think misdid is a word. They poorly executed it, as a better way to put it.
Quote unquote, writing was on the wall.
Yeah, the bloom was off the rose, as they say, Barry. So when the dust clears at it might have been Spring Stampede again, if I remember right.
So yeah,
that's when they do all the titles.
Yeah,
it might have been it was Slamboree. Oh,
okay,
we'll figure it out. But there you go. Double J gets his first world title there, first of many. The Slapnuts T-shirt still tickles me.
God, yeah, Jurassic Slapnuts.
He looks like Blonde Bono in this picture.
He does. He was having a midlife crisis and wasn't quite 50 yet.
Yeah, still maybe still reeling a little bit from China beating him.
Right, exactly. Feel some kind of way.
So Jarrett gets his run, and then we get this, Barry.
Oh boy. Oh boy. This is one of AJ's favorite moments of wrestling.
This is where the bloom flew off the rose.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can't say too much bad about Arquette here because he did not want to be the world champion. He thought it was a bad idea too. And,
yeah.
It was all to promote the movie, Ready to Rumble. You know, it was out. And there's a story in Flair's book about this. After Arquette won the belt, he went to Flair's like, "What do I do?" Because he didn't know how he was going to be treated by the boys, being an actor holding their title. So
right.
Flair said, "What you do is you strap that belt around your waist, go down to the bar, and buy everybody drinks all night," which is a very Ric Flair thing to say.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, Arquette, as I understand it, he donated every penny he made in wrestling to like deceased wrestlers. I think Bobby Duncombe Jr.'s family, Owen's family, Pillman's family. I think they all got money because he was doing fine with the movies and everything, so he didn't need the
money.
I think this was just a bucket list thing he wanted to do.
Exactly, and I mean, you can't fault the guy. You can't.
No, of course not. So Arquette gets his little run. He turns heel on Page, throws Canyon off the cage.
Sure.
So it kind of goes back on Jarrett for a while. Then it goes on, I think, Nash at some point. And then we get this. Old shit stain won the world title for but a cup of coffee, bro. And
right. You skipped the whole Bash at the Beach 2000 debacle.
Oh, I did forget. Well, let's get into that. So Jarrett and Hogan at Bash at the Beach, and I don't know the whole story on this.
I've heard several different stories.
I think Hogan was insistent that he beat Jarrett with creative control. He said, "I'm to win the belt." So they go out there. Russo tells Jarrett to just lie down. No, another lie down spot like fall brawl. Throws the belt in the ring and walks away in disgust. So then Hogan puts the foot on, 3 count. He wins the belt, leaves. Never to be seen from again in WCW. I think that was his last night.
Yeah, it was his last night.
But with that happening, then Russo cut the promo. Everybody remembers the promo he cut at Bash at the Beach after that. Just him getting himself over to the nth degree.
He wanted to shoot from the hip.
Yeah, for a guy that when he got there said he didn't want to be an on-camera personality, he sure seemed to enjoy his time on the camera.
Exactly.
Not unlike somebody else we've been seeing on television the last few years, but again, neither here nor there. So Bash at the Beach, and I forgot this, Jarrett actually wound up dropping the belt to Booker T for his first run there.
Yep, Booker's first run.
Yeah, then Booker's the one that dropped the belt to Russo.
Yep.
And then won it back. But why did Russo need a world title?
Why did they have it in a coal miners match? It was a San Francisco 49ers match.
It was some ridiculous booking that we so much
And
love
there,
Vince Russo for.
and there was a blow up doll and a picture of Scott Hall and a
Uh-huh.
gimmick glove and a partridge in a pear tree. There was
a
1,001 things in that match.
there was a match later on between Jarrett and Booker where there was a box in each corner of the ring. This was on Nitro, and basically the first person to open the box with the title in it won the match. This is Russo's mentality here. So each one had something different, like a weapon of some sort in there. And one of them, I think Nash was like maybe the commissioner at the time. I can't remember for sure. Because in one of the boxes was a framed picture of Scott Hall.
Of Scott Hall, exactly, yeah.
Because I remember Booker took the picture out, then he kind of mugged for the camera with it, and then he broke it over Jarrett's head. Just ridiculous. So ridiculous. So
yeah.
So Booker and Jarrett trade it back and forth, I think 3 times, give or take. And then we get the Freakzilla won it in 01. I'll admit, he looks good with that belt on.
Yeah, it looked good on him.
Yeah.
It looked good on him.
Yeah, he signed that belt right behind me, so he's and definitely a credible guy to be the champion because I mean, good lord, with the amateur background, the power, all that stuff. I was fine with it.
Yeah, and then give him a mic and tell him say whatever you want to say, and you got money
Then,
most of the time.
Yeah, until he decides to shoot on everybody and get in the doghouse. So Steiner holds the belt until the last Nitro. That's when he drops it back to Booker.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of the guys we've discussed here decided to sit on their Time Warner contracts for a while and not go to the WWF, except for Booker T and DDP, pretty much. They're the 2 big names that came over. And Booker came in, and then I don't know, 2 weeks after he showed up, Kurt Angle beat him.
Yeah, I know, right? Dropped the belt to Kurt. Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt dropped it right back to him. Yeah, Kurt dropped it right back, but that's why that is, because they wanted to do Booker with The Rock at SummerSlam.
Right. Yeah.
After Russo had been giving Booker all of The Rock's catchphrases and moves and things, the bookend, and calling him the Book. See,
the Book, yeah. Wearing the silk shirts.
Booker didn't need that. He's good enough as it is. So exactly. SummerSlam, we're in the throes of the invasion, and actually this match main evented SummerSlam ahead of Austin and Angle for the WWF title, which really says something.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of that's The Rock, I know, but there you see The Rock winning the WCW championship from Booker. There, the belt looks good on him.
It looks good, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is Vince's soggy dream come true because he gets a world title on Austin and The Rock at the same time.
Exactly.
But I digress. But this led to maybe my favorite match of 2001, Barry, which is a No Mercy 2001.
Yeah. This Chris Jericho, this hungry young Chris Jericho. He was like, "You're not going to come in here and take my spot."
A then enjoyable Chris Jericho won the WCW title from The Rock.
Exactly.
Look at those button chops. It looks like Lash LaRue.
God, fresh.
So Jericho holds it for a cup of coffee, drops it back to The Rock, and then vengeance happens where they put all the belts together. Jericho's the undisputed champion, and then he drops the belt to Triple H
at Mania 18.
Mania 18, and Triple H was the last guy to hold that belt at the time because that's when they brought up the Undisputed Version 1 title.
Yeah.
That I love. One of my favorites, by the way.
Same here.
There will be an episode on the Undisputed title, definitely.
Definitely.
So, that belt gets retired, and then about 5 months later, I got another video clip for you. Brock Lesnar wins their WWE title from The Rock. Triple H is the number 1 contender, and then Brock says, "The hell with it! I'm just staying on SmackDown. You don't get your shot." Basically, that's the backstory. So then Bischoff and Triple H are in the ring on Raw, September 2nd, 2002, and this is what happens.
Your accolades here in the WWE are unbelievable, but you know what? They're about to become even bigger.
Oh, what do you mean by that? What's in the briefcase is what I'm wondering. Money? He's gonna give him a... Wait a minute. Look at this.
Triple H, you may recognize this world championship because you were the last man to officially wear it. It's been worn by some of the greatest champions in the history of this industry. And now, Triple H, it will be again, because, ladies and gentlemen, your new world champion, Triple H!
What? Good God, what a... Now, this is an historic moment here on Raw. Triple H has just been awarded the heavyweight championship of the world. Well, you heard what Eric said. He was officially the last man to wear that championship belt. This is unprecedented, isn't it, JR? It is an historic moment. It is a shocking moment here on Raw. Triple H just awarded the world's heavyweight title. We've seen a new world champion crowned here in the first 5 minutes of the show.
You know, Eric, a lot of guys would come out here and they'd say, you know, God, what an honor, but I really don't deserve this. But then again, I'm not a lot of guys, am I?
No.
Because the fact is, you know it, I know it, and every single one of these people know it, that nobody deserves to be the world champion more than me. Nobody should be the world's heavyweight champion more than the game.
All right, so there it is. He's everybody has their opinions on Triple H. He's the guy.
Yeah,
but,
he was the guy.
You can see in the video that is the original belt. That's not That's not a knockoff.
Yep.
So
just on black leather.
Yeah. So Triple H goes to Survivor Series, drops it to HBK there in the Elimination Chamber match. So Michaels gets his run in his Pooh Brown tights and his Bob Z Twins haircut back then.
Okay, yeah, and, that freaking haircut. Little Lulu.
Yeah. Then Michaels drops it back to Hunter in 3 Stages of Hell at Armageddon in December of 2002.
Great and 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah. Then Triple H is officially the last guy to hold the original big gold belt, because then it gets retired in favor of the new WWE version. So that's our lineage there. That took longer than I thought it was going to go through that whole list there, Barry. first episode, I think we're allowed. Not all of these episodes are going to be this long, I promise. But we got a couple other things to discuss. We're going to go through favorite feuds here. I liked the Hogan-Sting feud in '97 until the match.
Yeah.
I thought the build-up was really good. The Flair-Dusty angle in '86, when Dusty won it at the Bash, come on. You don't get much better than Flair and Dusty,
I like the beginning of the Hogan-Vader feud. I like the beginning of it, but then when they wrestled, I was like, "Oh God, this is terrible!" And now we're gonna have Vader putting Hogan over. So,
You remember the cage match at Bash at the Beach?
Terrible, and that man separated his shoulder too on a moonsault.
I'm gonna give Hogan credit for something which is historic. He's the first guy that I saw use the helmet as a weapon. Because Vader had that Mastodon helmet in the cage. Hogan put it on and headbutted it with it. That makes perfect sense. Like, why don't people do that if that helmet's there?
Exactly.
In a cage match, no DQ, you can get away with it. So he had that going for him. What other ones do you remember, Barry, that you were fond of?
I also enjoyed the Triple H RVD feud.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right before Flair joined with Triple H, and we didn't know who Flair was going to side with or whatever. Yeah, that was pretty exciting.
Made for a great JR reaction too when Flair finally turned on Van Dam and hit him with the
Exactly.
sledgehammer. I'll tell you one that I liked, Barry, was the Scott Steiner Booker T feud at the very end of WCW.
Okay, yeah. That was a great way to close the company out with those two.
Yeah, they had a really good match on Nitro when Booker won the belt. But yeah, it's just I thought that made for a good. Plus, they had feuded as tag teams, Harlem Heat and the Steiner brothers also, so they had that chemistry.
Exactly, yeah.
And then of course Sting and Flair, basically 88 to 01, but specifically 88 to 90, like that original feud with the Clash and Great American Bash. Oh, hello. I have a visitor.
Noodles showed up.
Kitty, the kayfabe kitty Noodles Rebmann has made an appearance. I will put you back
hello,
down.
Noodles.
Yep. If AJ gets his show, I'm imagining that'll happen on his end too.
Right.
All right. So, is there any other feuds that really stand out to you, Barry, for the original Big Gold?
I'm thinking now, and no, right. I'm all the ones that pretty much stood out to me. We've listed already.
Okay. Let's talk favorite matches. For the I can't pick between the 3 Flair Steamboat matches for one specifically. The 2 out of 3 is my all-time favorite, but I mean they're all masterpieces. I talked about Steiner and Booker at the last Nitro. We talked about all these matches that I got, so I want to hear what you got.
I'm going to go out on a limb here real fast. We're going to end the Flair Steamboat feud, and we're going to pick up Flair and Funk.
Yes, I love Funk.
And he put that damn plastic bag over his head and almost killed him.
Oh man, the things that Funker got away with in the 80s. I'm crazy.
Exactly right. You're right. You almost killed Ric Flair. You slapped a horse, you know.
Oh, slapping the horse. Oh, that's a whole other discussion to be had during that feud with Lawler. My eye.
Oh, man. And then, of course, you know, we talked about Flair and Sting. Anytime you put those two in the ring, it was always something magical to see.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Another good one. DDP and Goldberg.
Yeah. Once we got to see it, because as we know, the pay-per-view cut out right as the match started.
Exactly.
But they had the good sense to show that match in its entirety on Nitro the next night. So.
Exactly. Yeah, they did.
But no, that was. I think that was Goldberg's best match in WCW.
Same here. DDP pulled a decent match out of him, so I was like, yes.
I was saying before, Rock and Booker put on a hell of a match at SummerSlam 2001.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did, and then they had a pretty good follow-up match too the next month, even though Shane was involved. But
it was the 2-on-1. Yeah. I really enjoyed the entire run Rock had with the title because that's when you get the Rock Jericho match at No Mercy. Also,
exactly.
And nobody expected Jericho to win that title.
No one.
Because that was still before Jericho was really in main event discussions.
Yeah.
He was still pretty much Intercontinental guy, basically.
Yeah.
But they had all these. Their championship belt quantity almost tripled when the invasion started.
Exactly.
You added tag team U.S. world title. I'm surprised they didn't bring the TV title with them, to be honest with you.
Right. Well, yeah, they had threw that away a year before, though, and Duggan had found it in the trash can.
Oh, God. What a waste of a great belt to have it.
Great belt. That's one of my favorites.
Not my favorite TV title belt, mind you, but still one of my favorites. It's like gold nugget jewelry on a belt, basically.
Exactly. The best one of those versions to me is the Lower Steven Regal version, the version that he held.
Oh, the one in between Classic Silver and the Gold Nugget.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, I'm old school. I like the silver one from the 80s myself.
And I like that one too.
We'll get again. We'll do an episode on that one to give it more time. But I'm just gonna ask you right now: red or black strap?
Red strap.
I'm with you. I like the red strap on it. Made it stand out to the other belts that they had, especially because that and the national title looked exactly the same.
Yep.
But still two of my favorites, though. All right, so we've gone through. I think we pretty much agreed on all of the favorite matches. We almost had the same list. Uh, let's talk least favorite. I think I know which ones you're going for because I got mine.
Uh, least favorite. Oh, I just got HBK's entire title run.
Run. He had like one match.
But he had one match against RVD, and that was
Triple H interfered.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, I just have his entire title run.
Okay. Almost anything Hogan versus Sting related goes on my list between Fall Brawl and Starrcade '97. Just, I would expect them to have more chemistry.
Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom.
That wasn't a title match though. That was just him play with his buddies.
Yeah, that's true. But he had a couple of title matches, in there. I think he defended against Kamala once, and he defended against Ming once.
I'll tell you what, I actually liked the match he had with Big Bubba on the first Nitro for the title.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
How do you have a bad match with Big Bubba Rogers, Ray Traylor?
Exactly. Exactly. And they have been wrestling for the last 10 years anyway, so.
Yeah. I got to throw the finger poke of doom on here for least favorite.
Yeah.
Just totally screwing over the audience with that one.
Yeah, because like I said, it was such a good build, and like it felt like something, and then you just slap us in the face like this.
Fart in church, and it's what you can't even blame Russo for that one.
No, you can't.
It's all Bischoff.
Yeah, all Bischoff.
Maybe Dusty. I don't know.
Yeah, so we can throw Bash at the Beach 2000 on there too.
Yeah. I got that on my list. The Arquette Page versus Jarrett Bischoff match where Arquette won the title.
Yeah.
Not great. Again, no fault of Arquette's. It's just they put him in an impossible situation because either he's going to be hated by the boys or the fans are going to crucify him after that. And they did for a long time. They didn't. David Arquette was shorthand for horrible booking in wrestling for a lot of years. And I don't think that's entirely fair to him. I'm just saying.
No.
All right. Let's see what else we got. If you had to pick your top 5 guys to hold the big gold original, which one would you go with?
I'm going to go with Flair, of course.
Of course.
You're going to give me, I'm going to take Savage.
Ooh, interesting. I don't have Savage on mine.
I'm going to take Steamboat.
Okay.
I'm going to take Luger.
Ooh.
And I'm going to take Scott Steiner.
Interesting. Now, Luger's interesting because he only held that belt for a week.
Yeah. I would like to see him do more with it.
Yeah. I went by number of runs with the belt is my criteria here.
Okay.
Because all you guys were awesome. You had I don't have Steamboat on mine, but I love Steamboat. I don't have Savage. I got Flair 11 times by my count with that title. Sting 8 times. Hogan 6 times. Booker 5 times. 5 times. Classic Booker. And then Page 3 times. So
okay.
That's my 5.
That's a credible list.
Nash honorable mention. I think he had 2 or 3 with it also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with the exception of your throwaway guys, Arquette, Russo, the lineage of this belt is really it's really reflective of the belt itself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I keep looking at it. It's like we said it before, and as we start to wrap up, I'm just going to repeat myself again. That is the perfect championship belt. It was not a flaw with it.
When you think about a world championship, you think about that. I mean, it's so big and in your face, and this is my freaking championship belt right here. Look at it, So yeah.
It's it's just like there are no words. I mean, even to the point now where they introduced this new WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and they borrowed a lot from that big gold belt.
A lot, yeah.
With good reason, though.
Yeah,
I don't blame them. I mean, it looks awesome, and the new belt looks great.
Yeah.
With how they use it remains to be seen, but I dig the belt. And I told you on off air. I think that Triple H had that belt designed for Roman before Vince started putting his nose in and decided he just make another champion with it.
He can have that blue belt, pal. We're gonna crown somebody else champion.
I don't know, if I was Roman, I might be pissed. I was like, that belt's sweet. I was gonna hold that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I digress. Well, Bari, as we wrap up here, this episode's going about an hour and a half. Every episode won't be this long. I'm thinking maybe an hour, give or take.
Okay.
The plan is, and this is for the audience watching at home. The plan is to do this bi-week, like every other week. It's not going to be a weekly. I mean, there's enough belts out there that we could do this every week very easily. But between your schedule and my schedule, it just makes more sense to do it every like 2 episodes a month.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
If you are interested in more content, Jumping the Rail podcast every other Tuesday. This coming Tuesday will be the next episode. Myself, Mindy Elam, Gary Vestelio. Sometimes, Bari, you jump in on that one too, depending on what the topic is. So you never know. And then the 01 USA Shootout, if you're a fan of 01 USA Wrestling in Central Illinois, every Wednesday, myself and Mindy Elam, with a host of 01 talent that calls in and chats us up. If you want some
always a good time.
It is. We enjoy it. For merchandise, prowrestlingtees.com/JTRpod for all the stuff for the network. Also, brainbustertees.com/others/JTR-podcast-network. The links are in the. I'll have the in the credits. The website will be up there. You can check it out. Our next episode in 2 weeks on. I don't even know the date off the top of my head. It doesn't matter. I think we agree, Barry. We're going to be talking about the Winged Eagle WWF Championship right there over your shoulder there.
That little beauty right there.
Yes. There's a lot of history on that one to talk about, so I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
But I think that is a good stopping point here. Thanks, everybody, for watching this, whether it's live or after the fact on YouTube. Like I said, I think this is a nice little departure from the podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And,
a little change of pace, yeah. Something fun, something informative.
Yeah, we're gonna have some more content coming on the network too. Keep your eyes and ears on that. Like us on Facebook, Gold Rush. I think it's full title JTR Presents Gold Rush on Facebook. Also, the JTR Podcast Network, and that's where you get all your updates there. And yeah, I think it's time to hang the belt back in its velvety bag and put it back in its storage container. And yeah, until next time, Bari, any final comments?
Hey, it was a pleasure, and I can't wait to do it again.
All right. Sounds good to me. All right, so we will see you guys in a couple weeks, and we will talk about the Winged Eagle then. Until then, for Bari, this is Rev. Remind you all, life is hard, work stiff, and we will see you later.